Hello everyone, Giltar here with a model kit review. This time we'll be looking at the 1:144 scale high-grade Universal Sentry NRX-044 Asshimar. As this model has an alternate mode, a mobile armor mode, I'm going to actually be splitting up this review into two parts. The first part will cover all the model kit details, accessories, and articulation. In part two, I'll cover the mobile armor mode, go over my pros and cons and final thoughts. Now starting off, this is a model that came out in June of 2005. Retails for 2,000 yen, or roughly 21 or 22 American dollars. And it's part of the Zeta Gundam series. KPHM42 mentioned before that apparently the Zeta Gundam and the Asshimar have a pretty exciting confrontation in the anime, so I can't wait to watch Zeta Gundam and see that come up. I will say right off the bat that I am a fan of this design. I know nothing about it in terms of the fiction. I just like the look of this mobile suit in its mobile armor form. Now, with respect to the mobile armor and the fact that this is a transformable mobile suit model kit, it is a true transformable kit. There's no part swapping. Parts do shift around, and you do get a true sort of transformer in essence. So I think that's a really neat aspect of this model kit. The upcoming high-grade Universal Sentry Rizal and Commander types both resort back to the sort of typical standard design of parts swapping, parts forming model kits. So I know after high-grade Universal Sentry model kits like the Asshimar and other ones like the Methus and the high-grade Gundam 00 model kits, which showed some true transforming model kits, I was hoping that the Rizal would have some of that design incorporated, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like that's the case. But at any rate, coming back to this model, first of all, I'll start off with the accessories. Now, as you can see, it actually does come with an action base, action stand with the kit, which is very nice because, well, first of all, it's a stand you don't need to buy on your own. It is specific to the Asshimar because it does use a rectangular peg here for it, because the Asshimar has rectangular ports. There's one on the back, and then there's one at the bottom of the pelvis. You actually have to take off this piece of armor there, and then you have another port. And actually, an added bonus about this action stand or action base is that it is extremely functional, not only as serving as a base, but underneath you can actually use it to store an extra fist right here. You can store this piece of plastic there, and in the middle is a sort of an adapter for the mobile armor mode, which I'll show later on, rather in part two of this review. So I like that aspect about this action stand, is that it has multi-purpose in it. And the kit comes with a pair of nuts and bolts that you actually have to incorporate into the assembly of this action stand to allow it to swivel left and right here, and then back and forth here. There is no rotation in this, really, so unfortunately you really get either, elevated poses up here, and then you can move it side to side, but you can't rotate it. You have to rotate the whole stand. But it's not a big deal, considering, this is a part of it. You don't really get it for free, because I imagine part of the cost of the Asshimar, covers the stand, but it's a nice accessory, and I wish more stands that are included with model kits incorporate this function of allowing you to clip on extra parts. The only other accessory the Asshimar has is its beam rifle, which is quite plain. I mean, it's very blocky and rectangular, not a lot of sculpted features in it. But I think it looks nice, and it suits the sort of almost like retro look of the Asshimar, especially in its mobile armor mode, which kind of looks like a UFO. I like the way that the trigger finger hand is sculpted, because it does have an angled peg. This was a problem with the Zekuin's model kit that I reviewed earlier, which had a straight peg, and that got in the way of posing it, whereas with the Asshimar, especially with the bulky forearm, the angled peg allows you to really hold it in nice and securely and give it some degree of movement and posing. So I'll just remove the hand here with the gun so that we can get into articulation. Now, there are some bits of the articulation that is really, it's due to transformation. So for example, there's some extra movement from the for the ankles here that can move about because of transformation function, not really for the model kit in its mobile suit mode. But it can go back and forth quite a degree. It can wiggle side to side. It is sort of a high heel type of design for the feet, and you can clip them together or spread them apart. And again, this is really due to transformation functionality. The knee itself is double hinged, and you can get about a 90 degree or just slightly more than a 90 degree bend. There is a piece of plating in the back that you can flip out, and that's really for transformation as well. And it's kind of funny. During transformation, you can actually make the leg compact, and it kind of looks like a midget. So I think that's, not that I'm making fun of midgets, but I think it's a funny look for this model with kind of like the blocky, sort of stocky design. And if you shorten the legs even further, it looks kind of comical, in my opinion. So I do apologize if I offended anyone out there, but I just thought that was a funny little look in. I will, in my defense, say that DeLong.net in their pictorial review did mention the look of the Asshimar with its folded up legs there, so I'm not the only one to notice that. Another point of articulation is that it can move, because of the design, it can move its legs like that. It's pretty crazy because there's no skirt armor to get in the way, and it's like you can basically almost freely rotate the leg all the way around because of that. Now the waist itself doesn't have any rotational ability due to the way it's designed. It has a hinge component to allow you for transformation to bend this completely forward and fold it up. So you can't get rotation, but you can get some nice bending back and forth. The backpack actually has some articulation because, again, for transformation it can fold out and in, and it pegs into the back here on 2 ports. This part here can also slide up and down. It's supposed to be in the down position in mobile suit mode, and then up position in the up position for mobile armor. The arms themselves have some nice articulation. They do have up and down movement and a little forward and back. And that is partly due to transformation functionality, but also just in 2005 we were seeing the design point of having the multi-jointed shoulder components. You can rotate it freely. It bends, or rather rotates at just below the shoulder, just above the bicep. It bends quite a bit too. It's more than a 90 degree, but not that much, but still it's a nice bend considering the bulk of the forearm and the bulk of the shoulder armor. The head itself can turn, but because of the shoulder armor you really have to try to work it out of the way in order to get the head to turn more, but even so it's not that necessary to turn the head all the way around, and it can nod up and down a little bit. And then the head antenna here does have some articulation, but again that is partly due to transformation functionality. And I think that's pretty much it for articulation. It's a very, at a glance, a basic model kit, but there's more complexity to it than one would think. Especially when you're building the model, you'll see a lot of engineering touches that are used due to the requirement of making this a transforming model kit. Now, with respect to everything else, I think I'll leave it for part 2. I'll transform this off camera because I can't keep my eye on the model and on the heads up or the display of my camera, so I'm making sure that everything's in frame. But I'll show a few parts, like the shoulder armor does. You can rotate the arm down and the shoulder there to transform it a little bit, and so you can see the starting of the transformation. Normally you would flip up this wrist guard here and then put in the hand and position it, and then you flip down this guard to conceal it basically. I showed you earlier we can flip open the back of the leg panel to basically fold in the legs, and it's a really nice, it's a true transforming action, or rather model kit. So it's like a Transformer toy in many ways, and the hand just fell apart. So yeah, I'll come back in part 2. I'll show you guys the mobile armor mode, go into the pros and cons of the kit, and my final thoughts. So hope you guys enjoyed the review so far. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon.